Hello students, my name is Jessie. I would like to take eating disorders of an adolescent girls and boys. So we will be seeing about all the nutrition eating disorders related to adolescent people. So here we will be seeing three different types of disorders, that is underweight, anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa, and their causes and risk factors of each disorder, limitations of underweight, signs, symptoms and complication of each disorder. We would like to see also about the role of nutrients about each disease and dietary management and dietary guidelines. So the first one is underweight. So we would like to see what all the people or adolescent girls and boys will come under this group. So half of the Indian rural population is underweight, with up to 3/4 being so called classified in deprived communities. A large proportion of rural Indian households have inadequate food supplies. That leads to chronic deficiency, that is about energy. People whose BMI is less than 18.5 are considered as underweight. Children who are subjected to socio-economic and dietary constraints during the critical years of growth and development end up with small body size. Such adults may be apparently healthy, but there is evidence that their productivity and earning capacity may be impaired. Limitations of underweight. Adults with BMI lower than 18.5 have reduced their capacity for sustained heavy work and lower productivity. Those pregnant women show a proportional increase in the risk of an underweight baby born in relation to postpartum, that is BMI ranges from 25 to 16 or less. Progressively greater proportions of time are spent off work or in bed ill when BMI levels are below 17 in men and women. There is a progressive culinary increase in mortality in group of men with BMI 16.0. Immunological deficiencies are being particularly in men with low BMIs. Concomitant micronutrient deficiency are present. Undernourished children have lower heights and weights. The age of menarche is delayed in undernourished girls by about 1 to 2 years of each girl. And then we have to see the causes of underweight. Starvation causes, either due to feminine conditions or an inadequate diet in proteins or an attempt at reducing weight. During starvation, fatty tissue is lost and the skeleton, heart muscles and small intestine are atrophied, losing its absorptive function. This results in low blood pressure, marked emaciation, loss of hair and inelastic skin. Since the feeding program should be gradual, initially glucose water, fruit juice and skim milk powder may be given, because directly we cannot give the food. The digestive system will be upset. Next we will be see the next cause of the underweight also results from debilitating diseases like tuberculosis, diabetes, malabsorption or cancer. Infections are common among them. In these cases, tonics are not useful as they only help to improve the appetite, but they do not increase weight. It is wise and necessary to spend money on nourishing high calorie foods. Psychological factors may contribute to eating very little food, that is anorexia nervosa. Some mental patients reject food, leading to severe weight loss. Anorexia is seen in girls between age of 15 and 25 years. Usually it arises from a desire to lose weight. If untreated, this condition may prove fatal due to progressive starvation. Electrolysis are lost in vomitings at the sight of food or during eating. Transient stoppage of menstruation may occur, which becomes normal with dietary treatment. In such cases, patients must be admitted to a hospital and should be given specific directions to have high calorie intake of broad, wheat and milk products. Underweight occurs in people who are active, tense, nervous, who never take rest. When it reaches a severe state, psychological efficiency as a whole is reduced and their power for concentration and decision making and withstanding calamities are very poor. working efficiency is poor and the productivity is less. He cannot work continuously for a long period because the nutrient supply will not be seen in the body. It occurs in pathological conditions such as fevers, gastrointestinal disturbance where the digestion and absorption capacities are decreased, and in hyperthyroidism. Next, we will see the nutritional and food requirement for underweight. A high calorie, high protein, high fat diet with liberal vitamin intake is recommended. But before going into the diet, the first step is to determine and eliminate the cause for undereating. Then a balanced diet should be planned based on the requirements. Energy. The calorie requirements vary depending upon the activities. For increasing weight, the total calorie intake should be in excess of the energy requirement. An additional 500 calories per day is recommended. The increase should be gradual over 1 or 2 weeks, otherwise digestive disturbances may occur. Proteins. Instead of 1 gram of protein, over 1.2 kg per body weight is recommended for tissue building. Good quality protein is completely utilized by the body, and as far as possible, best protein sources must be regularly included at the initial stage. Fats. Even though fat content is increased, easily digestible fats are to be included. Fried and fatty foods are not recommended as they may cause diarrhea. Fatty food should not be taken at the beginning of a meal as they reduce appetite. High calorie fatty foods such as cream, butter, margarine and oils help to increase the weight. Carbohydrates. High carbohydrate sources must form the basis of the diet. Leafy vegetables should be restricted and preference to be given to potato and yam. Dried fruits, sweets, nuts, desserts, jam, jelly, cereals, cereal products and non-vegetarian foods are rich source of energy and can be liberally included in the diet. The number of meals should be increased. 2 feds incorporating soups, juices or sweets in between major meals improve the nutritive value of the diet. Easily digestible foods should be given. Porridge, cutlets, desserts, potato chips, high protein drinks like milk, malted milk and badar kheer can be included. Thick soups are easily digestible and highly nutritious items. So, we can include all these foods in the diet. Vitamins and minerals. With a liberal diet, there is no extra need for vitamin and mineral supplements. Fluids should not be taken before or with a meal because it will give the fullness for the stomach. So, we have to reduce the fluid intake between the meals or before the meals. Once the person has eaten the food, they can have the fluids. Dietary guidelines for underweight. The person is itself underweight, so he has to be on the positive energy balance. Calorie intake should be more than the energy expended. Energy dense foods old key to weight gain. Underweight person should have a regular meals. He should make meals a priority and take the time to plan, prepare and eat each meal. They should at least eat 3 major meals a day and snacks in between. Underweight person should learn to eat more food at each meal. Serving size can increase. For example, drinking milk from a larger glass is very good. Dietary supplements can be given. Food should be appetizing. Diet can be varied and new foods and recipes can be tried. Eating can be made in different locations and ambience and with friends and family members. A walk before meal can be done to feel hungrier. Exercise and bowels. Regular outdoor exercise helps to stimulate appetite. Emotional well-being is essential to have a good appetite. Constipation may reduce the appetite, so the bowel movements should be regulated with adequate fluids, exercise and fruits. Synthetic drinks, soft drinks, alcohol, aerated drinks, too much of tea and coffee reduce appetite and should be avoided. Anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa are eating disorders that affect primarily adolescents and young adult women. Weight preoccupation is a primary symptom both disorders. At the end of 17th century, Morton described a condition that would later be defined as anorexia. 170 years later, Gull in England and Lasik in France gave the condition its current name. Physical and psychological pressures influence adolescents' eating habits. Boy fares better girl in that his large appetite and sheer volume of food leads him to consume adequate nutrients. The adolescent girl may gain weight easily due to her psychological and physiological sex differences associated with fat deposits during this period, a comparative lack of physical activity, social pressure and personal tensions concerning figure control may make her follow unwise self-important crash diets for weight loss. Self-starvation may result in complex and far-reaching eating disorders like anorexia nervosa and bulimia. Teenagers have the reputation of working with worst eating habits. They may skip a meal, particularly breakfast. There are more skippers among girls than boys. Those who take breakfast may consume foods which are nutritionally inadequate. Missing breakfast may be due to eating disorders, peer pressure, lack of time, and no nutritional awareness. They may eat fast food which are generally inadequate in calcium and vitamin A, but high in calories, saturate fat, sodium. Symptoms of childhood eating disorders vary too. Complaints of nausea, abdominal pain, and difficulty in swallowing may coexist with concerns about weight, shape, and body fatness. Food avoidance, self-induced vomitings excessively may occur. Laxative abuse is uncommon. Any child or adolescent practicing unhealthy weight control practices or exhibiting obsessional thoughts about food, weight, shape, or excessive may be a candidate for an eating disorder. Depression or obsessive compulsive disorder may coexist in these children as well. Woodside scientists have suggested 5 warning signs of a childhood and early adolescent eating disorder. This will include a decreasing weight gain, increasing criticism of the body, increasing social isolation, disruption of menstruation, and reportings of purging in the context of dieting. Dieting places adolescents at risk for unhealthy full eating and physical activity behavior. People go on a diet often have a time-limited behavior. Instead, they should plan for a long-term behavior changes such as avoiding eating binges, eating more fruits and vegetables, starting the day with breakfast, and engaging in physical activity. Psychological signs. Feeling fat even with emaciated, intense fear of gaining weight, distorted body image. Excessive preoccupation with weight, food, exercise and dieting. Social withdrawal, depression, moodiness, emotional withdrawal, perfectionism, refusal to admitting eating patterns are abnormal. Low self-esteem, fatigue or weakness due to malnutrition. Major risk factors for anorexia nervosa. Those are all include body dissatisfaction, strict dieting, low self-esteem, difficulty expressing feelings, perfectionism, troubled family relationships, history of physical or sexual abuse, family history of eating disorders. Dietary guidelines of anorexia nervosa. Diet in adolescents is very significant because it influences the nutritional status later in life. Adequate, well-balanced, nutritious food should be taken to prevent obesity, undernutrition. An adolescent girl should take enough calcium-rich foods in her diet to increase density. This helps in delaying the onset of osteoporosis. No meal of the day should be missed, as adolescence represents a period of active life, and food should be colorful and attractive. Avoid empty calorie foods such as carbonated beverages. Iron-rich foods may be included in the diet to prevent anemia. Calorie and protein-rich foods should be taken to support the growth spurt. Include fruits and vegetables in the diet to meet the vitamins, minerals, and fiber requirement. Eating habits should be independent of emotions. Parents should encourage the adolescents, both for boys and girls, to cook at home nutritious and tasty foods. Home-based diets are best for children's growth. Adolescents need to be encouraged to do physical activity, particularly outdoor physical activity regulates appetite. Guidelines for eating out. No doubt eating out is an enjoyable occasion, but one should remember to get money's worth of nutrients. Balance the menu with low fat and high fat foods, like example idli and vada. Have thali meat. Avoid where unpermitted colors are added. Enjoy salad buffets. Avoid having only empty calories like chips and carbonated beverages. Do not order too much quantity lest one may end up eating forcibly. Do not yield for external cues. Enjoy recipes which are usually made at home. Avoid junk foods. Those are rich in saturated sugar or salt. One should not get addicted to eating outside. Some of the physical effects of anorexia includes severe mood swings, depression, lack of energy, weakness, slow thinking, poor memory, dry, yellowish skin and brittle nails, constipation, bloating, tooth decay and gum damage, dizziness, fainting and headaches. Growth of fine hair all over the body and face. We will see nutrition problems related to this are obesity. Poor dietary habits combined with decreased physical activity have led to an increase in overweight and obesity among adolescents. Adolescents who eat high calorie and high fat foods become overweight and obese. Skipping meals at home and high calorie with sugar and fat also contribute to overweight. They may snack between meals. They may not include fruits and vegetables in their diet. Consumption of high glycemic foods may lead to hormonal and metabolic changes, promoting excessive food intake. An excessive intake of calories is less often the cause than lack of exercise. Concern about personal appearance may mark the adolescent more reluctant to participate in activities like dance or sports that control weight. Adolescents may not do exercise but watch TV for long times and commute to school by vehicles. Other causes of obesity may be family habits, emotional stress, and hormonal imbalance. Sometimes adolescents spend all their time on studies, leading a sedentary lifestyle, and they do not spend time for physical activity. As mental activity requires very little energy, they may tend to put on weight. The prevalence of adolescent obesity can be reduced by initiating programs of health and nutrition education for school children, encouraging physical activity and healthy food habits. Eating disorders. Adolescent girls perceive their diets in the light of appearance and body shape, while boys are more concerned by fitness and general well-being. There are 3 recognized eating disorders, that is anorexia nervosa, bulimia and binge eating disorder. Next eating disorder is bulimia nervosa. Is a serious, potentially life-threatening eating disorder characterized by a cycle of binging and compensatory behaviors such as self-induced vomiting designed to undo or compensate for the effects of binge eating. Physical signs of bulimia nervosa. Onset in late teens or early 20s, often after weight loss or dieting attempts, usually near ideal body weight but often with weight fluctuations. Eating large meals but without gaining weight. Causes calcified tissue on back of hands. Dental enamel erosion cavities. Fatigue or weakness due to malnutrition. Irregular menstrual periods. Psychological signs of anorexia, bulimia, and then we will be seeing the first one of psychological signs are excessive preoccupation with weight, food, exercise and dieting. Feeling uncomfortable eating in front of others. Feeling out of control when eating and unable to stop bingings. Depression, loneliness, shame and feeling of emptiness. Although may pretend to be cheerful. Alcohol or drug use, personal problems, these are all the related to bulimia nervosa. Realization that eating patterns are abnormal. Low self-esteem, depression, loneliness, shame, guilt and emotional emptiness. The incidence of eating disorders among adolescent Indians is less compared to adolescents developed in countries. Eating disorders are complex problems that are best treated by a team of healthcare specialists including medical, psychological and nutritional professionals. Contrary to popular belief, eating disorders are not just about weight, food or even being thin or fat. They are usually about self-esteem, self-expression, about depression, power and communication. Eating disorders are difficult to understand as well as treat and cure. Food and exercise habits. Strict dieting followed by binging, purging via diuretics, laxatives, emetics or anemias. Over exercising, fasting or vomiting. Hiding eating from others. Avoiding social invitations because of food that might be served. Psychological signs of binge eating disorder are frequent dieting, losing and regaining weight, that is weight cycling or dieting without losing weight. Frequent binge eating or eating when not hungry, eating to point of extreme discomfort. Frequently eating large amounts in short time, hiding eating and eating only small amounts when with others. Avoiding social invitations because of food that might be served. Suggested recipes during adolescent. Samosa with chana, uttappam, bhaji, bonda, spring rolls, basandis, laddus. Instead of carbonated cool drinks, fresh juices can be given. Rice, rajma, vegetable fried rice, pav bhaji and omelets. Reasons to include all these things to meet the calories and protein. Adolescents are fascinated by junk foods, but one can be select from these. Rich in calories, protein rich foods meet growth needs, vitamin C requirement can be met. The importance of deciding not to go to doctor or therapy should be started because poor body image and low self-esteem lie at the heart of bulimia. Therapy is an important part of recovery. It's a common to feel isolated and shamed by your binging and purging, and therapists can help with these feelings. The treatment of choice for bulimia is cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy targets the unhealthy eating behaviors of bulimia and the unrealistic negative thoughts that fuel them. Here's what to expect in bulimia therapy. Breaking the binge and purge cycle, the first phase of bulimia treatment. Focus on stopping the viscous cycle of binging and purging and restoring normal eating patterns. You learn to monitor your eating habits, avoid situations that trigger binges, cope with stress in ways that don't involve food, eat regularly to reduce cravings and fight the urge to purge. Changing unhealthy thoughts and patterns. The second phase of bulimia treatment focuses on identifying and changing dysfunctional beliefs about weight, dieting, and body shape. You explore attitudes about eating and rethink the idea that self-worth is based on weight. Solving emotional issues. The final phase of bulimia treatment, which involves targeting emotional issues that caused the eating disorder in the first place. Therapy may focus on relationship issues, underlying anxiety and depression, low self-esteem, and feelings of isolation and loneliness. Thank you.